Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Hungee here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. If you were here for the first time, welcome. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all the things to help us grow. At one point, we were the number 2 wrestling podcast in the whole country of Turkey. And Fred and I love our poultry. So just something to keep in mind there.
Jesus.
As I said, Fred Morlan is my co-host. And Fred, we have some very fun things to talk about today. And the one thing I want to start off with is how great is Fight Forever?
I like it quite a bit. We've been, I think we've both been playing it a fair bit. I have completed. How much have you done?
Okay, so I did a few singles matches. I looked at the challenges, which I really, really liked. It reminds me a lot of like Call of Duty, and where like, oh, you do X and then you get like points or experience. Well, here you get AEW dollars, so you can buy stuff for like customization. And I thought, oh, you have to buy Cody Rhodes. Okay. Well, like 3 matches with Lance Archer, and I had enough to buy Cody and Aubrey Edwards. So that was quick and easy. But I think it's fun. It's a very arcadey feel. But in being an arcade feel, it doesn't feel like you're being given anything. It doesn't feel unrealistic either. Like even the arcadey elements, you've seen people do some of this stuff. And I saw a clip where Jeff Hardy jumped across the ring onto another ladder.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, I saw that.
We've seen people do that like multiple times. So even though that's an arcade style, it doesn't feel like unrealistic. And I'm still trying to get the little things down. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to like tag matches I'm struggling with because I'm trying to Irish whip him into the corner to tag in my partner and just beat up the guy like a Southern style tag team. But it's fun. I'm through about a month on Road to Elite with Eddie Kingston.
I did Eddie too.
Yeah. Oh, he just feels like kind of like that neutral character. Like you can go really far with him, like, and you can get him to a point where he can be like a top guy, but he's not starting as a top guy. So you feel like you actually have to work with it. And it was funny because I got paired up with Hangman Adam Page, and we lost a tag match to Sting and Paul White.
Yeah. I think the exact same thing happened to me too.
Pretty rough. Well, I didn't realize that my guy was being pinned because I was being distracted by my dog, and all of a sudden Sting is pinning Adam Page. I'm like, oh shit. And that was the end of it. No,
yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah, I like the gameplay quite a bit. There's obviously some criticisms to lob at it. First of all, the creation suite is pretty damn weak. I'm hoping that that's something that they will buff, and over the next few months. We'll get to that in a second. But I mean, I actually played around with it a little bit to try to make just a ridiculous character, and there are very few options for your guy or gal. Like they don't even have the option to put like designs on trunks or anything, so it's really bare bones, which is a shame. But it's easy to do at the same time, so that's nice. But like everyone, if you're trying to, make a knockoff of, or like a character based off of, or recreation of insert of, wrestler here, it's going to be very, very bare bones. There's not going to be an option to like give guys designs on their trunks or whatever that they have all the time, or special tattoos or anything. And it's, it's unfortunate. And that's probably one of the things that you should not carry over from No Mercy, which they are obviously that they're very inspired by. So to turn around and in the year of our Lord 2023 have no way of sharing CAWs with anyone else is crazy, really. But I mean, that's a shortcoming. I hope that they will address that at some point. But I think a bigger issue is that there's no roadmap for the development of the game, like moving forward. And you could argue that they're maybe making sure that the game itself is not a flop, which sure, fine. But I mean, it's pretty commonplace in the video game industry, for better or worse, for a new title to come out and have like established, this is what we're going to be doing over the next 6 months. And AEW has nothing, so you don't know what they're planning on releasing, if anything, if they're going to be releasing any free characters in the future or any kind of updates to the roster, so you can change things up and make MJF, less Pinnacle era and more, 2023 solo era, that kind of stuff. And the opaqueness with that is unfortunate. And speaking of opaqueness, I do like the gameplay in general, but there are some aspects of it where it's really hard to tell, like, what exactly, if you're doing anything that has any impact. I think specifically, like when you're getting pinned or in a submission hold, there's no visual representation of if you're about to kick out or anything. So you're mashing buttons and you just don't know what's going on. I think actually... I can see that too, though. I can see the positive of it, but at the same time, like, it's frustrating. One thing that really does bother me with the gameplay is when you're knocked down and you've been taking some damage for a while, and your character will just lie on the mat for like 20 minutes. It feels like,
yeah. So I had that in the Casino Battle Royal, but one thing I liked about that is you kind of take the Casino Battle Royal in a different element where guys are hitting their finishers almost immediately.
Yeah.
And it's much more of a combative environment versus like a standard singles match. So I kind of liked that. Like, my guy, when I was playing in Kingston, he stayed on the ground longer. I thought that was a really nice touch because it's just such an inherently different environment than a standard singles match. Maybe that's a me thing. And I think
it's less... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I've noticed that a little bit in like regular singles matches where they're down a little bit. One thing I haven't quite grasped is, what buttons do I press to get up? Like, I
don't know about that either. That's the frustrating part, because when you take that damage and you're down for a while, you're mashing buttons because I don't know what the hell else to be doing to get up, and there's no indication whatsoever if it's working or if you're just like trying to destroy your joints. And so that lack of feedback, I think, is a real unfortunate thing. I think it's kind of frustrating. And also when you're in like a 3 or 4 man match, and you get put in that state, like, it is incredibly frustrating to have your guy just on the ground, you're mashing buttons with no indication on if that's actually doing anything or not, while, the two CPU competitors are trying to finish each other off. This kind of sucks. But the game...
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me say this real quick, Fred. I know that there's some frustration about the unknown with the future of this game. Based on kind of how this game has been set up, and I don't want to say it's outdated, but some of the stuff is outdated. Like you mentioned MJF with the like kind of the Pinnacle theme, and like the Young Bucks are the tag team champions, like as far as like the game. Some of the stuff hasn't been fully updated yet. The shell itself feels it reminds me of Grand Theft Auto 5. Like Grand Theft Auto 6 is finally in production 10 years after Grand Theft Auto 5 came out.
Yeah.
And Grand Theft Auto 5 was among the top sellers in overall dollars. That includes your microtransactions, your buying of like in-game dollars and that kind of thing. It feels like we're set up for the long term, instead of something like WWE where they put out a new game every year. I think this is going to be the game for 4 to 8 years, and they're just going to continuously update it and patch it and offer DLC to continue to grow it and make it better. So by the time the new game comes out in that 4 to 8 years, you may have spent $150 on it, but you never had to buy a new copy of the game. You just got to buy extra stuff to make it even more cool. And I think that idea is why I'm really intrigued about the future here, because it's not about getting a new game every year where like I never bought Madden every year. I bought it like every other, because I'm like, you know what? The year-to-year changes are usually not that substantial. Like same with the iPhone. 12 to 13 was like nothing. And when I upgraded to the 14, there was a significant amount of software upgrades where I felt really comfortable about it. And I needed to because of the battery anyways, but that's a whole different story. I like that seems to be the trajectory with this game. And if I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong. But that's kind of how I feel the approach was here. They took forever to release it, which we don't know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but it feels like they were trying to make sure that the launch of this game was as smooth as possible. And based on early reviews, except that one guy from what was it, like Game Line or Hardline, wrote a 26-minute piece about this game being absolute trash. The reviews on this game have been incredibly positive. And most importantly, they're positive from people like us who love professional wrestling, who love video games, and just wanted another pro wrestling video game that was fun. Not necessarily super realistic. There's a lot of realism in this game, but it felt fun. And that's why the No Mercy comparison and why they wanted to kind of build a game similar to No Mercy was such a pivotal aspect to how they built this in. Because that game was fun. Everybody played the crap out of it on the Nintendo 64. Well, if in real time. And today it's still fun because it's got that arcade feel. It's got that, I'm just going to have fun with this, even though it's not necessarily completely realistic. It's not a true simulation. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of simulation games that are incredibly fun because you like a little bit of the absurdity. That's why I love NFL Blitz.
Yeah.
NFL Blitz has enough realism, and then you pair it with fun like turbo and like diving 10 yards to be able to get a guy and hitting them after the fact, being able to utilize pass interference. Those elements are great. And I think how this game has been structured so far leads me to believe, and especially with how, if you relate this game to Tony Khan's booking, this is a long-term play. And this is going to be a story that's going to continue to be written. And we don't even have anywhere close to the full picture. To me, that's where the intrigue is. And I think they're going to see a lot of that instant feedback from fans. They're going to work on patches to make things better. But it's fun. And to me, that's the most important part of a video game. It should be fun. And they hit the nail on the head. Thank God for that.
I disagree a little bit in the sense that, well, first of all, I know it's terrible. Audio should just be people agreeing with each other. That's the best way to do a podcast. But no, I mean, first of all, so on Metacritic, the game has a 64 right now, which is in the average category. It's got 33 reviews up. 4 of them are classified as negative, 8 is positive. The other 21 are mixed. And I think like that's a pretty fair initial response to this game. I would love for them to continue to update it. That's, obviously what I assume they'll be doing. But, the thing with video game development is you can never really assume that's going to be the case, unfortunately. Video game development companies will promise, like in this games as a service model, which AEW Fight Forever kind of is that they will, they'll promise doing stuff for the next 6 months or a year. And then if sales are weak, the company will move on to another game and they'll be like, well, we got to try to make money. Sorry. Now, obviously, I think this is going to be different for Fight Forever. But at the same time, there's the uncertainty, and we don't even have that roadmap. And that's I think is a really big missing thing. So I do hope they keep patching it and keep trying to improve it. But, there's rumors of like that Stadium Stampede Battle Royale mode, Battle Royale in the video game sense, not the wrestling sense. And if that's the case, that could be really interesting. Are you aware of that, Tyler?
The Stadium Stampede element?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So I kind of like that that's coming, but it's not here yet. And one of the reasons I like that is obviously you want the full package right away. But
sure, of course.
Sometimes you don't want to overload what the thing is right away, and you want to get the basics down first. being that this is the first ever venture into a true video game for All Elite Wrestling, and obviously, Kenny Omega has a lot of influence on it because he is one of the biggest like gamers around.
Mm-hmm.
When you kind of combine all these little nuance elements, Fred, I like that they're going to introduce more things later because I think they got the core right. And they're going to have some minor tweaks here and there. I mean, almost everything gets patched up nowadays because you discover some little bugs and then you fix it. But when you've never made something, getting the basics down first is so incredibly important. And something like Stadium Stampede is one, it's going to be fun. Let's just be honest. We're going to play the crap out of it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a difficult thing integrating it into an engine because of all the little nuances. You have to create these different elements. Wrestlers are going to ride horses. They're going to be on golf carts. You're going to have to be able to do a finishing move off of that platform onto that crash pad that Kenny Omega did to win the dang thing. I totally get waiting because that's going to be a very intricate thing. And that can also be like a DLC. Oh, $5, you get to play Stadium Stampede. Do I like the fact that I'm going to have to pay $5 for that? In theory, no. But it's just one of those things that you can continuously build and build and build. And I'm fine with it because they got the guts right. They got the heart of it. They cooked the steak perfectly. Now it's about adding the proper side dishes. Fred, you're muted. I'm not editing that out.
I accidentally muted myself apparently rather than doing it on purpose and then just forgetting. So, I'm good at this. Yeah, I mean, it's very promising. They have work to do. I hope they do it. And I hope that they're able to continue to improve on this because the core is very good. The actual wrestling gameplay is very good. I like it a lot. The story mode is solid. It's short. Another thing that's really bad is the idea that you have to create a wrestler through the career mode, the road to elite mode to get them leveled up, which is unfortunate. Very time consuming and grindy. I have not tried the online play yet. I've never been much of an online guy. So I don't know how much time I'll be spending on that, but
let's talk about the online for a second, Fred, because
sure.
I have not been able to play it, but having conversations with people in the office Slack, and it's been brought up that like in Madden, if you quit on an online ranked match, you lose unless the opponent agrees to a draw. And sometimes they'll agree to a draw because it'll be like a 7-3 game in the second quarter and you just have to go.
Yeah.
And like, that's okay. But there are a lot of people who will quit when they're down 21-0. Yes. Well, I know I'm going to lose anyway, so I might as well just bail. Here, if you're about to lose, you could just quit and nothing happens to you. There's no penalty. And it was basically just a major waste of time.
Yeah.
That, I think, is something that's going to have to be fixed if you want people to continue to play ranked matches because there is no incentive. If you're just going to lose, why? Yeah, I could just quit. Nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is probably the biggest flaw I've found so far with the game. But it's also relatively minor because that can be fixed.
Yeah, that is a total bummer. I had not got. I obviously have not experienced that myself, but I did see some people talking about that, and that is absolutely insane. I think that should be expected behavior in any online game. That if someone disconnects, that regardless of if it's their fault or not, that they should. If it's a ranked mode, especially, it should be given a loss. But yeah,
it's one of those things. They're going to figure this stuff out. And I'm very excited to see how this continues to grow and evolve. Because I think that's going to be the most important thing, Fred. Grow and evolve. Once they figure that out, the sky is the limit for this thing because it's already really fun. Fun is the most important part of video games.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. Oh, realism, this, like, and anything else that you want to put in front of it. But the reason why people play video games, 99% of people, they want to have fun. And this is the epitome of fun. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It is a fun game, and I just hope they keep improving it and making it better.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, if you have played the game and you like or don't like it, shoot us a message. Let us know what you think of it. I have some interesting notes in the Discord about it. You can go check that out. That is the Voices of Wrestling Discord. And we have our own channel, The Good, the Bad, and the Hungee in the show section. Go check it out. Let us know what you think.